Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and if you're watching this video after the end of the world, remember that cutting seatbelts out of cars makes for a good bit of rope or strap. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to talk about what to do when people come to your house after a grid down, collapse, SHTF type situation. Now, this is a topic that gets covered regularly in our community, but this time around we're talking about it because Ontario Homestead brought it up. And it's something that people do like to talk about, and usually there's a lot of supposition involved. Usually, and this is sort of a knee jerk reaction that I think all of us have at one time or another, usually the response is, you're probably going to have to kill people who come for your food, because coming for your food, whether you offer it to them or they take it, is tantamount to starving yourself and your family to death. Now, I understand the sentiment, like I said, myself, and I think most people who follow the thought process have been there before, but it is not a nuanced or complex reaction to simply plan to respond with violence in most situations where someone comes for your food in most grid down situations. Now, if you've been watching this channel or channels around me for a while, you know that we never think it's going to be as black and white as we tend to imagine it being in those situations. We tend to think of things in a sort of movie scene kind of context, and it's just never going to be like that. No one's ever going to come to your door acting like they want to take your food. The first people who come to your door in a grid down, food crisis, total collapse type situation, whatever you want, are simply going to be your neighbor coming and asking for a cup of sugar or a cup of rice or whatever have you. They may come with their hands out, they may come with their Rolex in hand or with a bit of silver or just whatever single thing they think may have value in that situation, whether that's accurate or not. The first thing that people are going to do when they start getting hungry, when their kids start getting hungry, when your neighbors start getting hungry, is make trade. They're going to bring something out. They're going to go around knocking on doors and saying, hey, do you have any extra? Can we get it from you? Can we trade you this for that? Can we get you back whenever this blows over? And obviously, it's just not going to be a rational response to say, don't come back or I'm going to shoot you. Because you're going to have to keep being that person's neighbor. This situation may clear up in a week or two, and you're going to have pretty bad relations with someone if you told them, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, don't cross the line. Now, you can take this to a further extreme and say, it's a full SHTF situation, you're just shooting people for showing up. Now, obviously, anybody who is suggesting that you would just ambush people just for walking up to your door, and there are big channels who claim that this is the kind of thing that they would do, that's just not a rational thought process, and that person clearly is not thinking things through in a rational and complex way. Now, at the same time, I can't really tell you what you're going to need to do in most situations because every situation is going to be somewhere on the gray scale, and it's just going to be a complex situation that you're going to have to react to when the time comes. Now, part of the reason that Ontario Homestead mentioned me in his request for video responses to this is he knows that I have family in this area, a lot of family, and he knows that I'm not exactly secretive about the fact that I'm a prepper, both when it comes to my family members, my coworkers, or just putting my image out there in my local area as a local YouTube channel. There's a lot of reasons for this, and my local demographic has a lot to do with it. But I don't follow OPSEC the way that a lot of people do. And I put a lot of thought into how I will respond when these situations come down and people start looking to me or coming to me looking for relief. Now, I'm sort of banking on the community aspect, that I'll be able to tell these people what they should be doing, and we'll be able to create synergy, we'll be able to work together by having me essentially as a focal point for these people in my life. And I'm banking on the fact that we'll be able to come together and produce something that's valuable in these situations. I am somewhat banking on the fact, the idea, that it's just not going to be a total, complete dry up of food and things like that, where I'm going to have 50 people who are coming to me hoping that I'll be able to feed them on a daily basis. And I'm going to be clear with anybody who shows up, I'm not able to provide for anybody. And I'm clear with anybody when I'm talking to them about my preps now. I'm not the kind of prepper who's going to be able to help you. I'm the kind of prepper who helps people help themselves. And I'll be upfront with someone right at the start of a conversation, and they say, I'll just come to your house when this situation happens. I'll tell them right up front, great, we'll starve together. Because that's what's going to happen. But I do have a large amount of food. And while I can't provide it to everybody and just provide meals for people, I can keep them from starving immediately. I can keep them from being so lacking in calories that they simply can't do the work that they need to do to produce more calories for themselves. And I think that this needs to be more the goal for most preppers than simply, I have my stuff and I need to figure out how to secure it, how to keep it from these people, whether they be my neighbors, my family members, or whomever, to be able to keep it from them getting it. If you really want to be prepared for these situations in a realistic and complex and nuanced ways, you need to approach the concept that you're going to need to be the linchpin for the people who are looking for something to do. Now, hopefully you don't have people who are just looking to come be useless eaters. And if you do have people who show up and they want to be part of what you have going on, and it quickly turns out that they just want to sit on their butt and only eat and not be out producing or doing whatever the group needs to be doing to move forward, kick them to the curb, whatever you need to do. And it's going to need to be a nuanced response. You can't just exile people and expect that nothing's going to come of it. And this is something for more conversation. But my point here is that if you really think that you're going to have people showing up at your door wanting food, and let's face it, it's going to happen. Whether you have a lot of family in your area that knows that you have the preparedness mindset, like I do, or whether it's just going to be the random people who, not even knowing you're a prepper, are just going to come knocking on your door. Whether it's either of those situations, you need to know what you're going to do with those people. And as always, I advocate productive solutions rather than destructive solutions. And no matter what you think about whether or not you need to keep your food from other people or keep your resources hidden from the light of day, reacting violently to these situations is the destructive response, when those people could be resources to you, could be partners for you. But if you're going to respond in a negative, push-offish kind of way, you're never going to meet those people who maybe they did just need a cup of rice to get by to where they could provide something to help you. But you weren't willing to do that because your rice, your water, your MREs are precious. And this touches on something else that I'd like to point out. If you are worried that other people might be coming looking for handouts, it's a very good idea to have things that you can hand out in a very scalable fashion. This is why I love bulk food over things like pre-prepared meals like MREs and freeze-dried foods. When you hand away a MRE or a freeze-dried food packet, it's gone. That is an entire portion that you've handed away. With bulk foods, you're able to create a soup kitchen where you choose how much you're putting into this, how much each person gets, and rather than just trying to provide people with the food, with entire meals that they need, you're able to give them just a little bit to get by. And this more accurately reflects what does happen in areas with a lot of famine or in homeless or poor communities. I myself have lived on the streets and been more or less beholden to people who are willing to help you have a little bit of a meal each day. And that really does a lot when you're not necessarily able to fully provide for yourself, but you have someone who you know you can go, and if it's not a full banquet meal, if it's just a top ramen, and that's all you can get for free every single day, but you know you can get that, that is a huge deal. And so for preppers to have something that they know they can provide for people, both for the goodwill and for the, contributing to whatever's being done in your area, that's a huge step forward from just having your own meals that you have to greedily hide. So even if it is just having an entire flat or pallet of top ramen and that's your handout meal, that'll get you a lot of goodwill and probably a good bit of return in the situations where people are showing up looking for food and you have options besides stay away, mine. So these are just some random thoughts that I've had about this, and it's definitely a conversation that's been had a lot and is going to be had more. But given that a few of us are talking about it, I wanted to weigh in here because it's definitely something that gets a lot of screen time, but not a lot of complex, nuanced thought. It's pretty easy to just revert back to, well, it's mine and I'll defend it with my life. But that's a little too simple for the reality of the situations that we'll face. Anyways, I hope it's been interesting. Love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Stay tuned for more, and everybody, stay safe out there. Now, if you're still here, check the link down below because I just found out that one of my videos from the past that I never expected to get a lot of view time, is one of my most viewed videos, and that's the do-it-yourself moisture absorbent packets that I made out of flower drying silica beads. So there's a link down below. It's my most viewed video at 5.5 thousand views. Pretty proud of that. Anyways, thank you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Everybody stay safe.